We are deciding the fate of our lives and the world. I don't see the two as being any different because we each equally contribute to the conditions of our world and the conditions of our lives, because it's just about what we're choosing to do. But it's a little different now in our world. That you might have noticed in the last several years, things have been a little chaotic and we've been moving through some changes. That was supposed to happen. We're moving into a new dimension. We're trying to create a better world. We're trying to create a one that we're going to want. But the way that we do that is if we become better. And that's each individual, because there's no one who has more ability and power than another. Just isn't. We just make different decisions when we move through our lives. We think someone has more or can make more of an impression. No, it's all of us. What makes one leader more powerful than another? Belief. That's all that it is. There is no given ability that any human has over another. It's what we choose to accept. But now we're in a period where accepting who you are is going to be the most important thing that you could possibly do, because energetically you'll be adding something different to our world. You'll be adding light and love and all of that to the world, but you'll also be making yourself happy. You'll be making yourself successful because you were born to be that. That's our authentic selves. See, I couldn't do that at first. This is why I'm doing the work now. But, 10 years ago, I started channeling all of this information, and I created a program to take us through this time. I didn't know I was doing that. We don't typically know what we're creating or as we move through, and then it kind of shows up, and sometimes it just shows up when it's happening in the world. But we're moving into a different dimension. You can think of it in astronomical, in terms of astrology, or a lot of people will explain it in that way. The galaxies are changing. It's a galactic shift. It's a lot of things. It's something that hasn't happened in 150 years. Let's talk about that. It's just a difference in energy. Everything is energy. So yeah, we're going to be a little confused right now as we're moving through this period. But it is supposed to happen because it's supposed to make us better. But that can only happen when you decide to become who you're meant to be. And I had to do that first. You see, when I first started getting this information in 1988, I didn't want to tell people that I was channeling information and changing my life and healing things because of it, because they're going to think that's a little different or weird or crazy, whatever it might have been, except it allowed me to change everything in my life, create businesses, heal things, move through addictions, everything from sitting down and writing it all. That's what I've done. And now it's in a different place. And I knew that this time was coming, and we saw more of it today in the United States. When I started channeling it in 2020, I was told we were having a restructuring and the United States would lead the way. Didn't understand what that meant. Now I do. We were going to go through divisions and all of that, but it's about energy. What are we putting into the world energetically? And it's not about a political party or any of that, and it's not about just my country, the United States. It's everywhere in the world, because we just kind of influence what's happening in other parts of the world, but it's energetic. We're trying to move into a world where we're telling the truth, where we're being honest about who we are and about everything else that's going on, where we stop stealing from others, where we stop depriving people of what they should have, where we become more equal, where we become more inclusive. But we can only do that if we do it individually with us. In 2016, I knew things were changing. I was receiving all this information. I said, I got to get rid of my stuff. I got to look at, what am I carrying? One of them, I was carrying my little racism. Yeah, we all do. It's systemic. It's not possible for you not to have it somewhere. But if you're not looking at it, you can't get rid of it. You can't let go of it. You're an equal being, but if you're still being controlled by your color or what you think about that, then you're not actually actualizing who you're meant to be. That's what and your life is not going to be what you want it, because you're not putting the energy in the world that's going to be conducive for where we're going. But if you're deciding to let go of all of that, then you're going to have a much better time. And that's the work that I had to do. And then I wrote another article about, I discovered I was misogynist, slightly misogynist, I said, because I had to be. I'm 72 years old. When I grew up, women weren't equal. So that got planted into my head somehow. So I had to look at that and go, wait a minute, I need to change. Women are equal. They're just like just like me, but it's old stuff. And then I had to go through that racism thing because that I was told that maybe because I was this black guy wasn't enough. Where'd that come from? We all have that, and it's all coming up now. And again, we're trying to get to a place where of oneness, where we understand how a world is supposed to work, how it's supposed to operate. Now, this has been going on, like I said, this has been happening for a while, and this is an age that we're moving into. And I watched this wonderful video the other day explaining it in detail, that this 2,150 year cycle we're entering, we're starting to go into that now. So that transition is a little challenging because we're different energies. We're not used to it. We don't know what's happening. So we're all kind of where are we going? Fortunately, I didn't have that because I was told what was happening. I channeled it all. I even did live conversations that said everything that was going to be coming up now. And I did it like years ago. I started talking about it, but people couldn't hear that because I get precognitive things and that I don't always know, but that's exactly what happened. But what I was able to do during those 10 years is to download every single day things that would help me, move through any restriction, any limitation, because it's all mindset. That's the only place we live. We only experience anything in our lives by how we choose to think. But again, some of that may have been implanted in you because of your race, because of your country, where you came from, or because you're a woman. So you have to decide that you're going to change that and know who you are and know the equality that you possess and your right to be in the world. And the way you do that is by deciding to love yourself and letting go of all of your restrictions and limitations, exactly what I had to do. So where we are now is that every person alive is supposed to give something back to the world. And it always comes from what we've lived. When we can look at what we've lived and not judge it, and understand why we had certain conditions, then it becomes valuable for others. Well, I have tons of that because I went through everything. I moved through any possible thing that any human could experience. I've done it. I've lost things. I've lost my entire life many times, every possession that I own. So I know what it's like to lose things. That happened when I was 19 years old, had nothing. Then I know what it's like to almost die. I did that several times. So the fear that we all move through, I know about that. I understand it. I had to move through it. And so then all the other things that I had to conquer, this feeling of insecurity and not being enough and all of those things, it was a mental process that I downloaded all this information for years to be able to accomplish that. Never told anybody though. They just looking at me and thinking, oh, this guy just kind of had everything. No. It was the work that I did and what I downloaded. The only thing that was challenging for me was to tell you how I did it. Because see, we start to think that we're supposed to do everything like someone else, and we're not. I came in and I did this very differently than anyone else. No one in my family, none of my friends. I'm doing this thing all by myself. And so it felt very isolated. But we're supposed to be unique and individual. So we're not supposed to be everybody else. But that sometimes can be challenging to hold on to. But I become an expert at getting people to understand it and to own who they are. So what I'm doing, I've changed my life so much that now I'm just working on getting more and more people to become who they're meant to be, their authentic selves. Because see, then you have everything you want. You have the right relationship. You have the right career. You have abundance. You have everything. But it is a process of moving through your limited thinking, and I did it every single day. You can too. But now it's about you deciding what you're going to give to the world, because that will determine the fate of the world. We're all equally connected. Now, if you think you don't have enough energy that's affecting things, that may be a problem for you, because you do. Every single person. We just have to decide when we're going to become empowered enough within ourselves to make a difference in our lives, which will make a difference in the world. Because again, it's all energetic. And if you study like quantum physics or mechanics or all that, you'll understand when I'm talking about how energetically we're doing that. So what happened today, just to put a point on this, because we're going to have a little more disruption, but we have to see things that we couldn't see before. We had a hearing here in the United States. We're still dealing with something from 2 years ago. And for the first time in history, which is what I've been saying for years, that we were going to see things that we have never seen before. So the first time in our history, a president of our country, a former president, was referred for criminal prosecution. It is not about the party or anything like that. It is about the energy. If we are doing things that are illegal or against the laws that we've created, or we have judgment, or we have things where we're trying to keep other people down, any of those things, it's not going to work for us going into the new world. You heard about the fifth dimension? Yeah, that's what it's going to be. And it's energetic. And so we contribute by how we decide to operate in our lives. And what I'm doing, like I said, I'm devoting my entire life to this work that I have downloaded for all these years, because it's causing people to become who they're meant to be. They're uplifting the energy and love in the world, and that's going to make a huge difference. Now, I'm not going to see it all while I'm alive, but I know that what I'm leaving is going to have the fate of our world turn out to be what more of us would want. And you have the same ability. It's just about owning what you were given, owning what you came into the world with, because everybody has something. I have never met a single person in my life who doesn't have this gift to offer everyone else, but I have met plenty of people and clients who just refuse to accept that. But it's a different time, and you're going to want to accept who you are. That's what I'm moving into.